these are scriptural. I'm not making these up. These next 5 signs we're going to tell you are written in the Bible. So let us look at these. Now, the first slide, let's go to the next slide, which is the first stage, or the first sign, is that the gospel will be preached to the whole world. All right. So where does this come from? Matthew 25. This has to happen before the end. Jesus said we must preach to the whole world and all nations. This also backs the sovereignty of nations. All this talk about dismantling borders and having no nations, one world government, that's not biblical. Christ told St. Faustina to pray for her nation. He didn't say pray for the whole European Union. Of course, it didn't exist then. But there is a sovereignty of nations. Now, there must be a penetration of the church into these nations. I do believe that we're getting close to this. With the internet, we're getting responses from people all over the world we never reached before. The farthest reaches of the South America continent to Siberia and even Antarctica. It's amazing. We're getting notifications from people seeing our live streams all over the world. And so we are reaching. I think if we haven't completed this stage, it's well underway. I know everybody doesn't have internet, but even in the poorest of countries, we seem to find some reach through this technology. All right, the next sign, sign 2, again from the Bible, is the great apostasy of the Gentiles. All right. Christ and Paul himself talked about this. Christ talked about it in Matthew 24, which is an amazing chapter called like a mini apocalypse, if you will, where the question is, what will be the sign? And Jesus was asked this question and he answered, take care that no one leads you astray, for many will come in my name and lead many others astray. At the end, it talks about there'll be many false teachings and false religions. I always point to, the prosperity gospel that's popular among evangelicals of you love God, you'll get that new car. You love God, you'll get that promotion at work. You'll be the boss. You'll have riches beyond your wildest dreams. This is not the gospel. Be careful of that stuff. So it's called the prosperity gospel. Anyway, these people who lead us astray could be bishops, religious, sisters, priests, Catholic politicians especially, right? Even our own family. So we have to be careful here. They will teach incorrect doctrine and lead many away from the church. Paul in 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 2 says that the day of the Lord, or what we call the parousia, will not come until the apostasy comes first. This is interesting. This is a massive fall away from the church, from Catholicism. This will be heresy. I think, again, we're kind of seeing this. All right, let's go to the third sign, the universal conversion of Jews to Jesus. Let's talk about this. The universal conversion of the Jews, the conversion of all of the Israelite people is scriptural. This is Romans 11:25. Thomas Aquinas comments on this and says that all the Jews will come. And now he does, I believe, say into the church. But anyway, Catechism 674 is important because Peter says Jesus was appointed for the Jewish people and they must receive him before the end. So that's the conversion to Jesus. And Paul again echoes this, that including the Jews into the sacramental life, basically the life of what was known, again, he didn't use the word sacramental or Catholic Church, but into that life will happen before the second coming and will enable people of God to fully receive him, meaning the Jews. And this is powerful. This has not happened yet. We know that. And so you see the next slide, Pope Benedict, one of my favorites, just a quick clip or a picture there of Pope Benedict XVI, who is Joseph Ratzinger, basically said that is why we are not at the end of the world yet, because it cannot happen until the full member of the Gentiles are converted, followed by all of Israel. So he said, basically, that's why we're not completely at this end of the world. So I hope nobody quotes me as saying, Father Chris said we're at the end of the world. No, but we do need to seek Our Lady's help, though, for making this happen, because she's a daughter of Israel. Mary here next to me. It's just a beautiful statue here of Our Lady. We need to seek Our Lady's help because she belongs to Israel. All right, let's go on. Next, sign 4 is the revelation of the Antichrist. All right, people think when they hear the Antichrist that this is made up, or Father, why are you trying to scare people? Again, sorry, this is biblical. Most theologians and church fathers say that he will appear 3.5 years before the end of the world. This is important. It's mentioned in Daniel and in Revelation, it says 42 months, but that's basically 3.5 years. There is a 7-year preparation for the end of the world, and it is said halfway through it, this Antichrist will be revealed. What it says is beasts of the land and the sea, the great dragon, etc. Talks about this. Now, don't confuse the main Antichrist. We've had other Antichrist types like Hitler or Nero or Stalin and others. But anyway, we see the Antichrist in 2 Thessalonians and in John's epistles because he's called the son of perdition. Again, all scriptural here. He will work deceptive miracles, and he will deceive the people and be a leader of this great apostasy that we just talked about. He'll be fully human. Remember this. He is not the devil incarnate. The devil does not have the power to become incarnate. Only God does. So he'll be fully human and not the devil. All right. But he will be possessed by the evil one. Some say he'll be Jewish. I don't want to go into detail on that. But anyway, he'll be persuasive and powerful. I mentioned ones like Nero and Caligula and others like Stalin, Mao, Lenin, Hitler, who have persecuted the righteous and were forms of the Antichrist, but this will be the Antichrist worse, they say, than all of the others. Well, anyway, he'll have a deep hatred for all the saints and against our faithful. So here's the good news. All right, all this gloom and doom, Father, right? The good news is we will be given special graces as his disciples in that time and in these last days, whatever they are, the tribulation, they say that it's important, that we stay faithful. So anyway, the Catechism also has a statement. Let's look at our next slide, okay? The next couple slides on Catechism 675. Before Christ, and if you don't think that the Antichrist is actually church teaching, let's listen to this. This is the Catechism. Before Christ's second coming, the church must pass through a final trial that will shake the faith of many believers. The persecution that accompanies her pilgrimage on earth will unveil the mystery of iniquity in the form of a religious deception, offering men an apparent solution to their problems at the price of apostasy from the truth. The supreme religious deception is that of the Antichrist, a pseudo-messianism by which man glorifies himself in place of God and of his Messiah come in the flesh. Again, Catechism 675, so that lends credence. Now let's go on to the next one. The fifth sign, the tribulation. Again, very scriptural. So here is sign 5, the tribulation, that is in our Bible. Now, it'll be both natural, they say, and man-made. Matthew chapters 24 and 25 cover this. As I said, it's kind of called the little apocalypse. But anyway, Matthew 24:9 says that we will be delivered up to tribulation and hatred by all nations for his sake, meaning Jesus. The enemies of the gospel will put us to death in this last time. In the apocalypse, the apostolic writings, meaning of the apostles and the church fathers, we're told that the end of the world will be brought about through a general conflagration, which means fire. Interesting, because our Lord said he wouldn't do it by water, but could it happen by fire? I guess our Lord never promised not, right? But we'll get into detail. Don't get scared at this point. Which, however, will not annihilate the present creation, but will change its form and appearance. Interesting. There will be famines, earthquakes, wars, and persecutions. This persecution of the righteous, however, which we are now seeing, I think now more than any time since the first century, will be happening. We are challenged and we have to make a decision. Will I stand for the truth or compromise the truth? Will we really be standing for what is right, because this will be the time of testing. All right, this is very, very powerful. Again, he'll pour out many, many graces, and some say that that'll be the time of illumination of conscience. Others say that that came earlier, followed by the days of darkness.